Benjamin Franklin once said that change is the only constant in life. One's ability to adapt to those changes will determine their success in life. While there are many out there that have been hanging around the same group of friends from the same schools, and in some cases the same neighborhood or even the same house, my experience has been far different. I have spent most of my life adapting to unforeseen changes and situations. From moving across the country to having to pick up and learn completely new lifestyles, adapting is something that I have been forced to get good at. While this may seem frightening to some, I can assure you all that facing these transitions has, in fact, been some of the more interesting and beneficial parts of my life. By constantly having to adapt to new environments, I have become comfortable with making new friends, accepting and embracing new surroundings while staying true to myself. In addition to this, I have picked up a skill set that aids me in dealing with tough situations where I might find myself outside my comfort zone. I began my life in the sunny state of California, which I bet many of you can find hard to believe. While I was still very young, we made our first cross-country move as my father's job moved us to Florida, where he grew up and most of both his and my mother's immediate family lived. Life was good during this phase, and it laid the foundation for the special relationship I have with my cousins. It was also when my younger brother Devin was born. Lucky me. After finally getting the hang of being conscious and aware of my existence, I found myself on another plane, this time heading to Phoenix, Arizona. Unlike the first move, this was a fairly hard transition because my cousin, who was my best friend at the time, would not be close by. This was difficult as I was only about 5 years old at the time and was still struggling with the realization that apparently I wasn't the center of the universe. I quickly learned that I was going to need to meet a new group of people who I would call my homies. Thankfully, things worked out and I settled in with a new group of friends and I felt confident in the squad I had assembled. I couldn't help but admire what I had done. I had successfully made my life comfortable again after having been dropped into a completely unfamiliar environment. I also learned that I could apparently eat rattlesnakes, which I think definitely added to the feeling of invincibility. As nice as it would have been to stay in the desert paradise I built for myself, I ended up having to make one more major voyage during my second grade year. This time to the Lone Star State of Tejas. Well, I really didn't like the idea of having to rebuild my life again from scratch. I found comfort in knowing that this was not my first rodeo, so the second time around was sure to be a breeze. Plus, I was growing tired of sweating through 3 shirts a day, so I was eager to move somewhere with more temperate climate. Or so I thought. After saying goodbye to the people I knew I would miss, I hopped in our car and began the 2-day drive to Texas. Having previously learned how to assimilate into a new place with new people, I was right about the second time around being a breeze. I even managed to annoy less classmates this time when constructing my new posse. Overall, I found the move quite easy, the hardest part being adapting to arguably the worst drivers in the country. Texas's every man for himself road policy, where turn signals are optional, tailgating is taught in driver's ed, and yield signs are only for roadside decoration, takes some time to get used to. After finishing 4th grade, I moved one more time across San Antonio, where I still reside today. By that time, I was a pro at adapting to new environments and was easily able to pack up the camp and move. Moving had even become something that I looked forward to, as I found experiencing different communities exciting. Adapting to different geographical environments wasn't the only thing I had to learn how to do. A few times throughout my life, I have had to learn how to deal with lifestyle transformations. I guarantee many of you have been challenged by these types of adaptations, especially if you had the privilege of attending a public school before you started here at TMI. I think I speak for anyone who has been in the SA public school system when I say life really doesn't get much easier. This was the type of lifestyle I had been accustomed to for the majority of my life. With borderline 0 effort, I was able to maintain straight A's and still be able to get to sleep by 9 o'clock. This entire system I had perfected, however, quickly went up in flames when I started here at TMI. I had to quickly learn how to carve out sizable chunks of my time to complete assignments. Well, most of them anyway. I was also pushed to start considering different possibilities for my future, which rattled me, as I thought living with your parents until you die was totally acceptable. It took some time to adapt to the academic rigor, and for the most part it wasn't fun, but I managed to adjust to get through it. Although these kinds of changes are never fun or easy, they are some of the more important moments in your life. This is because life is full of challenges, some more self-inflicted than others, and knowing how to accept them and make the necessary adjustments will help down the road when you're on your own and the stakes are much greater. Even with all of the experience I have accumulated with adapting in life, I still find myself overwhelmed by the next big phase in my life. In a few short months, I will be graduating, leaving my home, and going off on my own to college, all at the same time. This will, without a doubt, be one of the biggest adjustments that I go on to face in my life. And while I still feel highly unprepared for this next step, I am ready to find a way to adapt to my new life. It will require me to meet new people, balancing academics with collegiate lacrosse, and figure out how I will fit into society. Having constantly been forced to deal with big changes like this, I know that at the end of the day, things always tend to work out. Although many people may make life out to be this cliche process of growing up in the same house, going to the same college, and becoming a functioning member of society, life just simply isn't that scripted. Life is completely unique to each person on the face of this earth, each person having to overcome their own set of obstacles. It's full of unexpected events that, no matter how many sidekicks you sit down with, you will not see coming. All that you can do in these situations is to adapt. In fact, adapting to these inconvenient situations can be some of the best and most rewarding moments throughout your life. It can even go as far as revealing who you really are to yourself, exposing what you're really made of. According to Charles Darwin, it is not the strongest species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It is the one most adaptable to change. So instead of standing there with the bat on your shoulder, staring at the curveball life just threw your way, grip it like you mean it, and don't be afraid to swing for the fences. Thank you.